Hello everyone, and we are live yet again, and this is going to be one of my authors chats, but this one's going to be over the weekend because it is Sunday, and I'll keep my eye out for my co-host and we'll get going in just a short moment. But we'll be talking about books, writing, publishing, and everything in between, and I hope everybody's been enjoying their weekend. It is the first weekend since I've been back in the States, which has been a few weeks because I've been traveling, and it's been really cool seeing a lot of locations around the world that have been my inspirations for settings of various books of mine so far, as well as what is going to happen in the future. So we will see how this goes. I'm trying to see if my co-host saw the invite. I don't know if we will kind of go from there, but we'll see. Send the invite. Okay. But it's the weekend, so let me know what have you been up to? What have you been reading recently? I have been doing kind of the arduous process for some people, but I actually really love it. Doing some research for a future book project. And I can't really let you know too much about it, but the fact that it's given me such an excuse to go and order a bunch of books to do this research for. And being a fantasy author, especially one that likes to do retellings, this is on the retelling side of things, which is fantastic. And let me see. I don't know why she hasn't seen her invite yet, but we will go from there. Anywho, but I was able to go to settings like visiting Italy and going to some settings in Rome, which obviously there's things like the Colosseum, and the Colosseum is inspirational for my first book series, the Unicorn Saga, because I actually have various versions of the Colosseum for my Dark Shifter fantasy, where my character actually had to utilize something like that and defend her honor in a Colosseum of sorts. Hello, how are you?
Hi, hello, how are you? I'm fine. I'm sorry, I didn't even answer the question.
That's okay. But I'm glad you're here to hang out today, and we'll get going in just a moment. But I was just letting everybody know that I recently come back from an extended trip. It was actually a belated honeymoon. But the cool thing is I got to go and explore various sites that I've utilized as inspirations for settings for some of my fantasy in the past, which is really cool. On the downside, I'm still adjusting to the time change, so if I look tired, I'm a little out of it. It's all because I am back in the States and I still don't know what time zone I'm in, so just forewarning. That is what's going on. But with that said, for these kind of authors chats, I always love to let my co-host, and you're my co-host today, introduce yourself and what you write.
Hello, everyone. I am EA Noble, and I write queer and diverse fantasy for the culture. And what that typically means is when you open up the pages of my book, I want you to see yourselves within the story. So if you're queer, BIPOC, disabled, neurodivergent, whatever the case may be, I want you to see yourself within my story and know that you have a place within my world.
I absolutely love that. Now, let me ask, how many works have you written? Are they all in the same series, or have you done multiple series so far?
Okay, so I'm a little bit scatterbrained. So my first debut novel is When Blood Meets Earth, which is about a princess on the precipice of her bad girl era. So if you want to see her devolve in the hero journey, then you'll want to follow that series. Hopefully book 2 will come out next year, but also we're planning to have an audiobook for that one next year. So indie budget, okay? And then I have Supersized Bubblegum, which is a story about fat chicks gaining superpowers by eating bubblegum while looking for their missing friend, and that one is a standalone.
I love that. That is fantastic.
Yes.
So, okay, it sounds like you have two books and again, different series, potentially. So, as you're working forward, obviously with book two of your initial book coming out next year, as well as the audiobook of the first book, etc., are you going to continue to kind of diverge and do a book here and then come back to the series and a book there and come back to the series? Or are you going to focus on your initial series a little bit before diverging? Because I'm a person and I love to publish multiple things simultaneously. It is a blessing and a curse, but it is what I choose to do. So I am totally fine with that, but I want to know what your future goals are for your writing.
Yeah, that's basically what I plan to do. A part of me wants to, I don't know, like what's it was a hanker down. I want to hanker down and finish my first trilogy so that can be out the way because my readers are knocking down my door. They're just like, listen, I don't care what you got to do. You need to get this second book out ASAP. Um, some people are, yeah, so they're pushing me to get book two out really quickly. But I want to do it justice. But at the same time, my brain has so many different stories that it wants to write. And I have to answer those calls too. Plus, I think a lot of times as indie authors, we have to figure out what can we juggle
Mm-hmm.
at what is I'm looking for? What can we juggle now?
Mm-hmm.
And writing a 50K book and putting it out and having that, edited and paid for and all that stuff like that, it's a lot cheaper than my epic fantasies, which is over 100K. So
Yes.
yes, my epic fantasies do take a lot more time versus I can write you a quick little fun bubble popping fantasy that's nice quick read and I can get that out to you automatically.
Oh, I 100% agree with everything you just said because I know when I started out doing epic fantasy, obviously your works are over 100,000 K
Yeah.
and it takes time. That takes time and effort, and especially if you're new to the writing experience, everything's going to even still take longer above and beyond because you're learning the craft and you're learning everything. And again, that time does kind of, unfortunately for the reader side of things, where you want everything to happen right away, it's not going to happen right away. And so
Yeah.
one of the things that I did is realizing that I wanted to write these for larger works in my various series. I challenged myself to write a novella series, and that's where my dark Viking fantasy novella series came from, was because I wanted to be able to turn around works in a quicker fashion, but
Mhm.
also allow me to dabble in a darker field while I was publishing, on the other hand, my noble, bright, positive, clean
Yeah.
fantasy YA on the other side. So very, very different,
Yeah.
longer books, but you have the short little bite-sized, dark fantasy, almost grimdark, Norse mythology-based stuff. And it's fun to do the balance, but as an author, you have only so much time to dedicate. So you have to choose, you know, the length of your story,
Exactly.
how many books you're going to put out, etc., so on. So I 100% agree with you and everything. So your first book series complete for a series sounds like you said you were going to do a trilogy.
Yes, it's going to be a trilogy, and I'm so excited because I already know what the book covers are going to look like,
Love it.
and I already have it all mapped out. It's all outlined. It's just it needs some love and attention and some time and dedication to do it justice because a fear that I have as an indie author, or not even an indie author, I don't even know why I said that because there's so many fears just for that. But what I fear the most when it comes to my series is I'm going to fall into that second book and third book. You know, the first book is like, yes, it's so good. Everybody who picks it up is like, I can't put it down. It's just so amazing. And then they get the second book and it's just like, Okay. I mean, I'll still rock with it, but and then the third book is just a total disappointment. And I don't want to fall into that. And so many series have fell into that lull of the first book drop, and I just want when I create the second and third book, I want it to be just as engaging, if not
Mm-hmm.
more. I want the stakes to be rose even higher,
Mm-hmm.
and I want people to eat it up just as much as they did the first book. So it is taking some time and dedication for that.
Well, I totally understand it because the thing of the novelty of a first book, and that goes for movies and cinema and TV shows, even like the first series, the first movie, there is a novelty of being the new, the fresh, the very different thing. And it's
Yeah.
really hard for a sequel, be it a book or a movie or a show, to live up to the hype of the first one because the first one was new. Everything
Yes.
was like thrown at you. You didn't expect it. But now you're kind of in that mix of what do you want to do that's maybe nostalgic. I hate saying nostalgic because like when it comes to publishing and especially even producing movies and shows, it's, year to year. You have a time frame. But
Yeah.
it's what do readers want to see continued in that familiarity versus something new and unexpected. And so I think it's hard. It is hard. I'm a series writer, and
Yeah.
it's hard to make sure that you keep true to your storyline and keep true to what you're doing, but keep the reader's attention and keep them enthralled because if they were in love with the newness of and the very different, aspects of your first book, is that
Right.
going to move through a book two, three, four, et cetera, et cetera. So
Exactly.
I understand that. I 100% understand that. So for you, what is one of the things that you're trying to, if I may ask, because I know it's a projection thing, and I don't want to spoil the story, but what is something that you're trying to continue from book one? Let me say, it's versus. I don't want to ask spoilers,
Oh,
but like, what is something you want readers to be like? Hey, if you like this in book one, it is going to be in book two. So be excited to the fact that it's continuing. So what is something about that of your book two idea?
oh, wow. There's so much. Um, there is so much that's going to continue in book two. I think for book one, a lot of the readers love mystery, and I know that's weird because I'm writing epic fantasy.
Mhm.
What do you mean? There's mystery in there? I
Oh, so
wrote it like a
what makes it
detective
mystery?
novel almost. Yeah, like I wrote it as if like everyone was trying to figure. I kid you not, every reader that has read this book, When Blood Meets Earth, my first debut novel, they have all tried to figure out how, what, who did what, and they have all been taken aback by how it turned out in
I
the end.
love
Some
that.
people figured it out a little bit, but they didn't understand the complexity of how much it was. And so they were shocked by how complex it was, and and why. And so now, going into book two, the mystery is discovered when it comes to her gifts and who my main character Bellamy is. And so now it's her walking into that power. But in book two, like I said, this is a reverse hero's journey. She's not becoming a hero. She is destined to become the villain. She is
I
destined to
love that.
destroy the world, not rebuild it.
I love
So now we have to walk through that journey of seeing her devolved, and see how is that coming about. And I think a lot of the readers are excited about that. And also there is I wouldn't say a love interest. A lot of people call my book a lot of things. They call it sapphic. I like to just call it queer because it has poly relationships. It has women in relationship with two men in relationships with whatever. Like my main character Bellamy, she isn't. I would call her just queer. I wouldn't even call her pansexual. But she's just a person who loves people.
Mhm.
Um, but she doesn't love everybody. That's why I can't call her pansexual. She ain't for everybody, but she's for most people. And she is in this between of this the main character, a character called Maliki, and a character called Sylvia. And I think a lot of people are trying to figure out which one she's going to lean to, because Sylvia is who she loves, but Maliki is who she's intertwined with. And so I think everybody's trying to figure out what's going to happen. What's going to happen with this? So,
I definitely like that. I did see a comment earlier on, and I'll note it because the goal of this, and I never know with this platform, and I'll repeat this every time I do this, is that the goal of this is I'll repurpose this on my YouTube. So if anybody needs to re-reference anything, it'll be on my YouTube platform, and I'll put all EA Noble's content information below so you can find and continue to follow. But with that said, I did see somebody said it focuses on keeping readers happy when you're reading books, and I remember that comment about earlier about trying to write multiple books and keeping them engaged and intertwined. Now, going with your book, it's very fascinating with what you're saying, because one of the things that I am working towards in a future series, and I'm doing the very base level world building and the idea and my initial very crude pitch. It's like The Witcher meets D&D. It's this, kind of on the grim dark side of things, but I want my main character to either, and I don't know how her end game will be, but she's going to be, and this is my first time I've ever said this on anything, so you go first, but she'll be an asexual character, and her interrelationships are going forward, but like her point is she's either going to be the anti-hero the way she views the world, or she's going to flip totally dark and become the villain. And I don't know which way it's going to end up yet. Again, this is the base world building part. Yeah. I've been working with her for a while and kind of trying to get her vibe and her viewpoint on reality and the world and all the other characters that are going to be in this. But it's very fascinating for someone to do a viewpoint of someone who's not the hero. You're writing a series that's based on someone who's not the hero, and a lot of people are like, what do you mean? Like, it's the hero of your book. I'm like, no.
Yeah. Like, no.
So for you, what inspired you to write this particular series and focus on a character that is going to become a villain?
I think what inspired me to write it was trying to imagine what would happen if race, sexuality, gender, like none of that matters. In today's world, we keep having conversations about, I'm so sick and tired of racism. I'm so tired. I'm so tired. You don't understand. I am so tired. I'm tired of having the conversation. I'm tired of having the conversation about like gender or sexuality. I'm so tired. So I was like, what if I write a book where none of that matters? Mm-hmm. None of it. We don't care. No one sees color. No one sees sexuality. No one sees nothing. It just is. And then I'm sitting here writing the book, and it turns out classism. It's always something that separates one person's or a group of people from another groups of people. And it doesn't matter if we were all the same, there will still be something that separates or try to pull apart. I am better than you and you are lesser than me. And so in this book, I'm writing this character, Bellamy, and she is tired of seeing the strife, and there's an upcoming war that's about to happen. There's rebellion that's that's about to happen. It's also, I have like a lot of political intrigue in this book. So you see the politics and the laws being passed against certain groups of people, and how it affects not only it's not only affects. So in my book, there's people called fireborns, and fireborns are cursed by the spirits, and they don't have magic. Their magic was revoked from them.
Huh.
So yeah, and so whenever they sleep with, just say they fall in love with a waterborn, and so they get together, and that child, because their one parent is fireborn, that child and every other child that comes from that fireborn, their powers are null and void
Mm-hmm.
because of that one parent. And so now they're making laws in my story of, we don't want fireborns in our borders. And now that affects the children too, because the children don't have power and are considered also fireborn, even if their of one parent is like waterborn or earthborn or whatever, doesn't matter. So it affects a lot of people. And so
Mm-hmm.
my main character is, she's in the midst of this. She's the princess. She's the next to sit on the earth throne. A lot of people are angry. A lot of people are upset, and it makes her angry. It makes her upset to the point where I don't know when she is going to explode and who she is going to explode on. And the funny thing about it, she is siding more with what was supposed to be the enemy. So the people that we're supposed to hate, she have
Mm-hmm.
most empathy for. And
No,
in book two, she will be on the enemy side for largely of the book.
I really enjoy when people play with the concept of what makes an enemy an enemy. What is it that makes you oppose that person? Is it because, as you mentioned, you didn't want to write about, but like, is it race? Is it gender? Is it physical orientation on a map? Is it what makes them on one side and you on the other? And in my young adult series, I love to toy with that because my character, is thrown in this. It's a magical multiverse, and at one point early on in the first book, she comes into which the term goblin, most people immediately think negative stuff. So obviously, we're gonna throw some negative tropes at you, and you're like, oh, okay, goblin's bad. But
Yeah.
later on in the series, it's going to flip on its head. And I love that concept of realizing there's more than one point of view. And when a character is able to see something from another point of view, it opens their eyes in new ways. And it's shocking and enlightening in many ways. And I love when I read stories that are like showing things from unexpected points of view, and be it the author's way of telling a story or a character's exploration into the world or their universe, etc. But that's always kind of really neat. So I love that. I love your premise. It is fascinating.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's so much. It's so much. I think that's why a lot of my readers really love When Blood Meets Earth, because the conversations that are had within the book is so very important. Like I said, this book isn't surrounded by, race and or anything like that, but still they're having issues with, classism
Mm-hmm.
and religious stuff, like how religious you are, or patriotism, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. It's just everything is always something. It's always something. Humans, we are born to err. We will never be perfect. And it's like overcoming that. How do we overcome that as a people?
And I think fiction, and especially fantasy, but I'm a fantasy writer, so of course I'm going to say especially fantasy, but fiction is a great way to come to terms with the realities, be it dark, gritty, real, these realities of ourselves and people, and we have these conversations. And so through fiction, we're able to touch on various topics and point out and enlighten people on things that they may not have realized before. So that is a wonderful thing. Now, let me ask you, so every writer has, I feel like, a moment-ish. I'll say ish because I feel like I'm the ish person, so let me throw myself into that boat. But like, what was it that made you realize that, you know what, not that I'm coming up with a story, but I'm physically going to sit down and write a book and make it become tangible, real? What was it that sparked into you and you're like, I'm going to sit down and make this become a book? Not an idea, a book.
Okay, it's a couple of factors that's happened
Yes,
because
yes. Let me know.
before I became a, I guess, quote unquote, real author, I was a Wattpad writer.
Hey, that is
So
amazing.
yeah, Wattpad was my baby. I had stories all up and down Wattpad. They were getting
Nice.
traction. A lot of people enjoyed it. I remember this one comment that said, "I don't understand why this book hasn't went viral yet." Like I don't understand
Love
because so
that.
many people. Like I said, when people enter my world, they tend to love it and they kind of want to stay there. And it wasn't until someone tried to steal my story off of Wattpad and
Okay, that's
sell
rough.
it that I was like, maybe I can take my authorship a little bit more serious instead of just being a Wattpad author. So
Hmm.
I started my journey. I sat down. I started thinking. A lot of stories came before When Blood Meets Earth.
Hmm.
Um, so all those stories that came before, there were small stories. Some of them I haven't even finished. But then as you continue to write and write more and write often,
Hmm.
the story starts to form itself. And then I became obsessed with Bellamy and wanting to know her story, wanting to know her journey, even though it was hard. It was so hard for me because writing on Wattpad is one thing, but actually trying to formulate a book that has a good middle, a good beginning, middle, and end, that's a whole nother thing. Wattpad, I don't care about structure. We're there for entertainment. We don't care. But actually writing a real solid book, there are structures that you have to put in place. There are things that you need there. And so it was just learning all of that and just being obsessed with her journey and wanting to see her carry it out and those questions and those mysteries becoming seen and exploring that journey with her. Yeah.
Hey, I love everything what you said, especially the fact that when it comes to people who write on platforms like Wattpad or people who are a short story writer and submit to various platforms to get published, even just for short stories, that is so fascinating to me because I'm a long-winded author. I will say that because I like to tell a story, but I want to tell the story and I want to tell it rich and depth and all this stuff. And it's very hard for me to write succinctly. So
Hmm.
recently I've challenged myself to write short stories or novellas or stuff like this because it is a different art form to do something in small form. And so for
Yeah.
people who start out on Wattpad, I am, or other, again, with the short story kind of endeavor, I give kudos to you because you're being able to tell something in a way that tantalizes people in bite-sized moments in ways I'm like, I want to be able to capture that.
Yeah.
And as a long-winded author, it's a challenge for me to go that way. And I'm sure vice versa, but like it is always a challenge for me to kind of go small and try to tell a story in such a beautiful, succinct way. So kudos to
Mhm.
you for starting with Wattpad. I think that is a great way for people to start out with. And the fact that you made that next level step to go for that to do a full novel, that's amazing. So
Yes, yes, yes.
now, let me ask, are you ever going to go back and try to finish some of the stories that maybe you started on Wattpad that you haven't? Or at this point, are you just turning your focus onto these longer stories with your novels going forward?
It is so funny that you asked that question because I just had a conversation with one of the most talented authors that I know. We was talking about this, I think earlier, or it could have been yesterday. You know, time bleeds
Time.
together. But we had this similar conversation, and the answer was I probably won't because looking at those past manuscripts,
Hmm.
they represented me in 2007 or in the early 2000s. You know what I mean? That I appreciate them for what they were, and I love and I cringe, and I'm just like, oh, why did I? I do all these things, but to try to reshape them and reform them
Hmm.
to who I am today is going to require a lot of effort.
Yes.
And so I rather start anew with who I am today. And 10 years from now, I will probably be an even better author.
Yes.
And looking at my stuff 10 years ago, I would probably feel the same way.
Hmm.
Um and I will just probably keep going and allow my stories to grow and allow my pen to grow, you know?
Oh, 100%. And for anybody who's listening now and for anybody who's listening future, this is fully 100% what I believe in, because I've said it 1,000 times in these things where understand you want everything you write to be wonderful, beautiful, perfect, and that's good. You want to challenge
Mhm.
yourself to make everything you do fantastic. Yes, please do that. On the other hand, know that you're trying to challenge yourself as well to get better. So whatever you write
Yeah.
first, theoretically, should be the worst thing you produce.
Yeah.
Understand that, because like my first book, and I love it, and it's people, I still get people who are the little feel good moments where like readers are like, oh, it's my new favorite book. I'm like, yay, that's great. You should read my other stuff though, because everything you do, you want to progress yourself to get better and better and better. And so when you look back to your earlier works, be it a short story, be it a book, doesn't matter, you're going to be like that cringy moment where like, oh yeah, I wrote that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah.
And you don't want to talk down about it, because it's not that it's bad, but your stuff now hopefully is better. And I did see the comment saying, I love everything you just said, EA. Keep moving forward. So yes, keep moving forward, focus on it, get better going
Mhm.
on. And that's what we want to do. Is I think, I don't want to assume, I think that most readers, writers, authors want every next book to get better.
Yes, absolutely. And that's a philosophy that I have with my life too. I am EA Noble in 2024, but I want to be a better EA Noble in 2025. And
Yes.
as the years go by, I want to be a better person inside and outside. And that includes my writing, my craft, my knowledge, expanding, the people that are around me, my community. I want it all to keep growing and keep progressing. And I think that sometimes as people, we get trapped in circles and we keep going
Mhm.
around the same circle over and over again. And we're trying to figure out, how do I get out this circle? How do I keep finding myself back at point A? And
Mhm.
it's because we are trapped. um we are not pushing ourselves, challenging ourselves past our strengths. And listen, I'm an anime girly all day every day.
Yes.
And I grew up watching a lot of these animes where they were train and push past their boundaries, push past they will level up. When they face another hard enemy, you would think, oh, no, they're gonna completely unalive on this one. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, but then no, they level up. They keep
Mhm.
pushing and pushing, even though they lose. They keep training and pushing, and I think that we sometimes we don't push ourselves enough,
Mhm.
and we keep figuring out how do we keep getting in the same spot. It's because you're not challenging yourself. Challenge
Okay.
yourself.
I
Push.
have a question for you, and I'm gonna forget it before I get to it.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
That's the way my brain works. My brain works. But yeah, I totally agree with that. The whole challenging yourself, and as a writer, I know personally. Again, going back to, I can only speak from personal experience. There have been certain conversations that I've gone back to, and certain topics I've gone back to in my earlier works that I'm kind of finishing up right now. But I've realized at this point, I was like, I've said what I said. I've done, these conversations of these themes, and it's time for me to move on to new things. So it's nice for people to be able to progress, evolve, and change. Now for you, question, because this is something that's fascinating me, the fact that there are so many, I guess, quote unquote, new, question mark, genres and subgenres branching out and out and out. And if you are a person who's very familiar with anime, and that's maybe even been an inspiration to you in the past, have you ever considered, because one of the growing genres right now is lit RPG, where the concept of characters actually physically leveling up and going on, but still writing in this way where you're telling these stories, be it fantasy or sci-fi or whatever. And I don't know, have you ever considered like branching into various different subgenres, or are you you're pretty comfortable with your niche right now? What are you feeling?
I'm always open to learn new things, but as of right now, I'm just trying to get comfortable of finding. See, here, okay, it's hard to answer that question because niche. I don't want to niche out. That's my thing. That's my struggle here on TikTok. That's my struggle with a lot of situations because you have to niche down. Everyone is trying to make you niche down. You can, if you are a dark romance writer, you have to be a dark romance writer. And if you do anything other than dark romance, you have to change your pen name and go to a whole nother genre.
I refuse to do that. Marketing is hell, but I refuse to do that. But marketing is hell.
But they force that. That's what they. You know what I mean? So everybody's like, "Oh, you have to be a niche." Oh, or she's just a horror writer. She's just a this. Even when you go trad, the biggest thing is to niche down. So if they sign you for fantasy and you're trying to do a contemporary romance, no, you're this is fantasy. You need to write another fantasy book. And I don't want to niche down. And so when it comes to lit RPG, is that correct? RPG?
Yeah, lit RPG is one of the many newer genres again.
Yeah. So yes. When it comes to that, I am open to new avenues. I am open to new ways of writing and storytelling. Because I do not want to force myself into a box. I don't want to niche down. So I'm not going to say I'm open to it. I should just say that I'm open to it.
I like that. I like that. And I feel like when it comes to more indie publishing side of things, we do have that opportunity to tell the publishing community and tell the reading community that we don't have to be restricted. And I'm meeting more and more authors that are brave enough, because it is a step of bravery to be like, I'm going to step away from what you expect and hope that I'm going to find the right readership, or hope that your readers are going to follow you over. And it's becoming more common now that the bigger indie is becoming, and the more variety of writers are coming out there, the more of us are trying to jump around. Now, some of it's small jumps, some are larger jumps, and I want to be open to be able to be flexible. I'm probably still going to count myself a fantasy for right now, but I want to dabble with a variety of fantasy. Don't peg me as just dark fantasy because you like my dark fantasy series, and don't peg me as noble bright or clean fantasy because you like my YA, whatever. I'm going to jump around. I'm going to do different things because I want to write stories that make me thrilled at writing them. And I hope you'll be thrilled reading them. So that's my point of view. So
absolutely. And I think that people need to give indie authors or authors that grace to not trap them into just one genre. But that's a good thing, like you said, about being an indie author. We have that flexibility to jump around. Now, if I'm writing erotica and children's books, I get the pen name switch. But like, but you know what I mean? I get that. But quite frankly, there is really no point of switching pen names if just because you are writing bright fantasy and then you switch over to dark romance or something like that. People gonna know it's you, so what's the point? People are going to know it's you, and then they will know. Like, this is if they follow you as an author, they'll know. Oh, this is her dark romance stuff. This is her, this stuff, or this is her that stuff, and you'll just choose whatever you want. If you don't want to read, I'm not the biggest YA reader. I love YA. You know what I mean. But right now, I'm not the biggest YA reader. But if I ever want to pick up a YA, then I know, okay, let me go to this YA stuff.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. So
I feel like, again, with the indie publishing getting bigger, more recognized on a global scale, because still, most people still think of all the trad publishing, and there is a weird step aside. I wouldn't say down, that sounds bad, but it's a different branch mentality to start looking for indie books, and I hate to say it, but it is. But
yeah.
the more reputable that people realize that we produce works that are as good, if not better, as trad books and quality books and stories and these characters, I think the re-education of the readership, where not only how to find the indie populace, but also educate, readers to be like, hey, indie's not so constrictive, so if it's okay that our author writes multiple fields and everything. If you like one subgenre, just all you have to do is check their website, and theoretically an author's going to explain what each of their series is about, in a way that makes sense. So I'm a person that I write adult, new adult, young adult. Now I said marketing's a nightmare right now, but it's a hopefully a re-education of readers, where in the future it won't be as hard, because they'll be like, I like your writing, let me see what else you do. Okay, this makes sense to me, I like this. Maybe that's not my genre, but I'm willing to try this new one, and that's a fine thing going forward anyways. But indie publishing is fascinating, but I'm biased.
Yes, it is.
I am biased. Now, the hour's getting away from me already, and I just glanced up. Let me make sure I ask a couple of the questions. I have 3 big questions I always want to make sure to ask. And so the first one is, where can people find and follow you outside of Book Talk? Do you have a website? Do you do a newsletter? What other socials, if any, are you on? That kind of thing. Where can people find and follow you to continue to support you?
If you check my link in Shmayo, because I don't know how TikTok is when it comes to that word.
You can do it in life.
I have a website that I update monthly. And I also write little short stories and put them on there as well, if you want something like quick read. I also big in Threads streets. I don't know what it is, but I love Threads, so I'm over there. If you want to hear my unhinged thoughts, like today, I've updated everyone that I feel like kangaroos are Jim Bro coded, and yeah, everybody's having a field day with that. And also in Facebook, it's so fun. My Facebook group, we argue and we laugh and we just have a field day in there. So if you want to go on my Facebook group or follow me on Facebook or Instagram, it's all in my link in bio. I am trying to get better at emails. I really am. I am horrible at that, but I'm trying to. So stay tuned for that situation. Okay. But if you want to add your email to my future mailing list, you can do that too. You can go to my website and just fill out a contact form and just say, hey, I want to join your mailing list when you are up and running, and I will add you on. Simple as that.
Hey, if you're looking for content and you're a person who writes short stories decently regularly, which is far better than I do. That's something so simple you can do is collect your short stories that you already give out to people and say, hey, if you sign up for my mailing list, create one of those kind of funnels. I know that's all this blah 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 technical terms, but create a funnel where you every few days or every week, give out one of your short stories for free for people because they signed up and they automatically get it. And it's right there sent to them and easy peasy
Yeah,
lemon squeezy. And you already have them if you write them. And that's
that's a good
half the battle.
idea.
So just throwing it out there.
I do
Looking
give
for
away for
content. You
free. I'm
have
just
the
like,
content.
hey, I just wrote this thing. Y'all can read it if y'all want.
Exactly. You have that content. Okay, good to know. I've not made the jump to Threads, but I think it's because I got burnt on the X, previously Twitter, and it's just like I tried so hard, it didn't work for me, and Threads sounded like so similar, so I have not made that jump. Though I've
I love
heard
threads.
good
I
things
absolutely love
from
threads.
certain authors that are like, it makes sense to them and they love it, so that's a great thing.
Yes, I love threads.
Perfect. It may be something I'll have to look into soon. I'm in denial right now. But that's okay. I like looking into new
Another
things.
social media app to learn, brah. Yeah, I know. I feel you.
My other big question for you is where can people get your books? Are you exclusive through Amazon? Do you sell direct? Are you wide? Where can people find your books and what formats can they find them in at this moment?
Okay, so when Blood Meets Earth is wide, you can find it at any local retailer, and surprisingly, my book is in certain libraries. So check your library if it's
Wonderful.
not. If you because I am like I said, I understand how it is when it comes to budget and money in this economy, and I do not support bootleg websites because authors have to, if y'all want to see more books from us, we have to earn some income. This stuff is
Mm-hmm.
expensive,
100%
people.
agree.
So if you have a local library, check your local library, and if they don't have this book, ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, a lot of my readers asked their library to buy it, and it's in a lot of people's libraries right now, and I'm excited about that. So, um, and Amazon, Book Barnes and Noble, yeah. For when, so my next one though, supersized bubblegum, and like I said, I'm still unsure how to move, but
Mm-hmm.
that one's going to be Amazon ebook exclusive.
Okay, yeah, Kindle exclusive. Yeah, Kindle
Yeah,
Kindle
Kindle
Limited. There you go.
exclusive. Limited. There we go. And then I think the print will only be on Amazon as well.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how I'm going to move moving forward because my debut, I tested it out to see if it's worth it, but I don't know. So I am going to do something different for my other book and see if it hits different. So right now, for sure, check Amazon. Check Amazon. And I do have my own shop where you can buy directly from me.
Yes, that's the question that
But
popped up. Signed copies. Can the people get signed copies from you? Good question.
yes, you can get signed copies from me, but not too long ago, I don't know what happened. I don't know who got my book. I don't know what happened, but a while ago, I guess it got popular somewhere, and every copy that I own is bought from me. And so I'm all out of When Blood Meets Earth for right now. I'm sold out, but I'll be getting more stuff soon. So keep an eye out on that. Again, if you want to know when I'm getting my stocks, I can't seem to keep them on the shelf, people. So if
That's
you,
fantastic.
yeah, so if you want
I don't have that problem.
signed copies, follow my social media. I always post in my group first. Hey,
Okay.
signed copies are back up. And whoever is in my group, they always get first come, first serve. And then I start pushing it out on my others social medias.
I
So
love it.
yeah.
Hey, there you go. So yes, you can get signed copies. You have to keep your eye out because they go fast, is what I'm hearing right now, which is a
Yeah.
beautiful problem to have as an author. It is a fantastic problem to have. And that's great. That's actually really cool.
Yeah.
But okay, I love that. I love that. Now, let me ask you, as well as anybody else who's listening in, because the hour again is running by. This is a great time to always inquire if you, will have any topics you wanted to cover, announcements you wanted to make, questions you had that you didn't get to ask so far. This is the time, and for everybody who's listening so far, same thing for you too. If you have any questions, post them in the comments. If you have any comments, post them in the comments. Makes sense, right?
No, I think it's so funny because this interview is going by so fast. I've been enjoying myself. I feel like we
This is
just
why
started.
I just dropped my pen. This is why I call them chats, because I think the best way is for authors to learn from each other, and it's hard when someone's being grilled with like questions, and so I love the engagement of sharing the knowledge and sharing
Mm,
experiences and talking about the successes. And if you've had a problem, mention it, because your problem may be someone else's problem, and someone else may be like, I'm dealing with that too. And
yeah.
figuring these things out together is the best way. So it's always
Mhm.
nice. A chat.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
Not an interview, a chat.
Yes. Well, I appreciate the chat. It flew by, and I can't believe an hour is almost passed. So I have really nothing on my end. I'm very open to questions in the comments. If someone wants to ask me a question, um, yeah,
So
I'm very
for
open.
you, I have a question for you. It's like knowing how I am, and I'm a person that's like, it's really hard for me to set a publication date, because I get that itch as soon as something's ready. I'm like, I want to publish it now. It's a downfall. It is not a good thing, but that's how I am. Do you have an idea of when your next release? You said bubblegum, I'm doing that for short, is coming out in the near distant future. Do you have like a set hard, oh, I want to release it by this point? Or are you like, it's going to release when it's ready idea? If that makes
Oh,
sense.
it's releasing next month, August 15th.
There you go. Make sure you let the exact date.
August 15th, it releases next week. I'm excited. I got print copies. I got my proof copies not too long ago. I already see an error on the first page. I'm so mad. I want to punch air. It is not like a huge error. It's just missing dialogue tag. I'm like, how is it that me, alpha readers, beta readers, editors,
It
how do we
happens.
all miss this?
It happens. It is so
It happens.
infuriating, because you release something and you're like, a moment later, you're like, I caught the error. Maybe not even the whole error, but like an error. It's like immediate. It's just like,
Right.
how?
So
How was it?
frustrating. But yeah, 815 is the release. Not only is 815 my release for Supersized Bubblegum, but you know Silas, correct?
Yes, yes.
Silas. Christy's in the chat. Christy as well. There is 19 other authors. We have all got together and we decided to release on 815, and we have a website. It's also connected to my link in bio. Just go to my bio. Everything is there. You can check out not only my book that's up for pre-order, Supersized Bubblegum, but you can check out the 18 other authors that are also in the epic release event. That is what we're calling it. And we're all indie, and we're all trying to do this together because community matters.
Yes. I love that. And I love the cross promotion aspect, because every author is going to have your own readership, and some of it may overlap, but you'll be surprised at how much it doesn't. So when you do events like this, where hashtag epic release event, I love that. Anytime you do something where it cross promotes, you potentially can reach such a big readership. And I think that's one of the big reasons, well, not think, I know that's one of the big reasons why people like to do anthologies, something I've not done before, but it's something
Yeah.
that, it is so intriguing to me, because that cross promotion allows people who come in trying to read one reader, or one author and discovers other ones and vice versa. And so we really like that. So that's exciting. So yes, check out the link in EA Noble's bio and you will find out hashtag epic release event of, you said 19 of you all or 18?
19 of us all, including myself.
I can math, people. It's only a Sunday, and it's just coming back.
I said 18, but I excluded myself. So it's 19 altogether, but that's what happened.
I assumed correctly, and I love that. But yes, it's always wonderful to see, the supportive community of authors. And I actually was talking to some other people yesterday, and an author, it was a kind of an interview aspect. And it's weird for me to be in an interview because I'm used to these kind of just casual chats and all this kind of stuff. But it was that kind of topic of authors supporting authors is one of the best things possible. Now, let me ask you, actually, since we have a few moments, have you ever done or have you ever considered doing a live signing event? Maybe it could be something small like at a local library, or it could be something big at a big convention. Like, have you ever done one, or have you considered doing a live signing for your work?
I want to do one eventually. I told myself, okay, so as an author, indie author, marketing is hard. It's so hard for us because I don't have a team. I can't afford a team. I don't have a PA. I don't have someone to post for me, to keep me active on social medias, and to not only on top of that, I have to learn how to do Canva and editing videos.
You do so much.
You have to make the videos, the content, edit it. You have to, the aesthetic of it all. There's so much to it, and you can get really dragged into that aspect of authorship that you forget writing, which is the most important thing for me. 100%. And so as of right now, I told myself I'm taking 3 years to write as much as I possibly can and get as much stories out as I possibly can. And, and doing like things like this where I'm doing interview chats or, doing the epic release event with, other authors. And, doing little things like that to put myself out there as well. Like, it's not all silence, but at the same time, my focus right now is writing and creating my stories.
I love it. I'm jealous.
That's the primary. And then after 3 years, and I've written as much as I can, and because right now I'm not earning enough to the income is going out and it's not returning as fastly. So live events sometimes take, a lot of money or, travel and all that stuff like that. So as of right now, I'm just going to focus on my writing and, talk to wonderful authors such as yourself and the 19 other people that I'm working with the epic release event.
That's so cool.
And randomly posting on TikTok whenever I feel like it and doing things like that and just keeping consistent. But yeah, my focus is writing for the next 3 years.
That is wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And if you have that capability to do that, that is beautiful. I know for myself as a person trying to struggle through being a full-time author and artist, the marketing has to kind of go hand in hand, which is the downside of it. But I understand you get so pulled into the marketing, the advertising, the this and that, and everything else you have to be doing as an indie author because we wear so many hats, we do so many jobs that you sometimes forget, which I did earlier this year, sometimes forget that you're supposed to be, guess what? Writing. New work.
Yes.
Not just editing stuff you've written, like actually writing new things. And I got into that rut earlier this year, and it's kind of been a little bit of a up and down struggle, but hopefully I'm figuring out ways out of that because it gets tough. It gets overwhelming, and that's why we're all here to admit some of these things, because I feel like so many of us, if not all of us, deal with these issues,
Mhm.
and it's not just you. I'm with you
No,
too.
no.
I don't know about everybody, but I'm with you too. Like, we struggle. We have
Yeah.
moments. We
And
have our
I know I
moments of
want
cry
to tell a
time
new
too.
author.
Crying is
Oh, I'm
okay.
sorry.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, like, and I want to tell, like, any new authors that are watching now or later on
Mhm.
the rewatch or the replay, if you're struggling with trying to balance everything, we all are. It's not just you. We all are struggling to balance writer life versus having to be a marketer, a designer, live events, and social medias, all these things. It is hard. Is not easy. And this is why it's so important to have a community, but never forget you are an author, you are a writer. Never forget
Mhm.
your story. And
Mhm.
that's the most important thing. Your readers will come, people will find you, but they can't find something that's not there.
That's
So
true.
write.
I love that. That is absolutely beautifully spoken, beautifully said, because that is very true. It's as much as you want to do all these other things to find the readers, which we all want to find the readers. If you don't write something, then what are they there to find?
Yeah.
So beautifully put, beautifully put. And I will say, since we've hit that hour mark, if anybody else has any questions, comments, post them now. But outside of that, I'm so happy that I've been able to connect with you this weekend. And it's been a lot of fun getting to like actually talk with you and get to know you and your writing and your upcoming works. And they sound fantastic. So I'm super thrilled at being able to get to talk with you today.
Yeah, same, same. I'm same. Sorry I couldn't turn on my camera. My head is killing me. But
It's okay.
an author's job. Suck it up.
Yep. Nope.
Do what
I
you got
totally
to.
understand. And we all have those bad days, and sometimes filters help. Sometimes
Sometimes filters help so much.
I love and I've never figured out the live streaming aspects. I know there's a way to put on filters, and I wish I did, because I would probably look far better sometimes than I do. Some of these filters are amazing. Little, maybe it's not real, but it's the real I want to present. Anywho, point being is, thank you for coming out and hanging out. Thank you for everybody else who's come out and hung out with us for this last hour and some change. And anytime you want to do another one of these live chats, I do them weekly. Plan them in advance. Do them weekly. Let me know, and I'll let you know if this platform's nice and lets me repurpose this on my YouTube. And if anybody wants to check anything that we've talked about today, hopefully in a few weeks you will find it on my YouTube channel. Link in bio.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm always open. So, my inbox is always open. And to anyone that's watching, yeah, just I'm a baby author, so that means
You
that
love
I'm
it.
not filled with a whole lot of inboxes and DMs. So hit me up.
Hey, you're not going to
While
be
you
a baby
still
author
can.
for long, so take advantage of it now. Soon you'll be like,
Yeah,
wow, I'm that,
take
whatever
advantage
the
of it
next step,
now
I don't know
because
what
I'm
the
pretty
next step author
sure.
is, but
Yeah.
a
Oh,
toddler? Are you can you be a toddler author? Can you be,
can you be
what's
a
the next
toddler?
step?
Oh, my legs are wobbly still.
I feel like I'm going to be in a permanently toddler stage, but that's okay. That's also my personality too.
No, no,
So,
no, no, no. You are at least a young adult, okay? Give yourself that.
champion. But anywho, thank you for so much for hanging out, and I'm going to have to say goodbye for everybody today. But
Yes, yes.
if you ever want to hang out on another run of chats, I do them weekly. My next week one's technically actually tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so back-to-back one. So if you want to hang out with me again, check me out at 1 p.m. But thank you, EA Noble, and I hope to hang out with you in the future.
All right. Bye.